Alright guys, time to go to Shaman. Shaman's an interesting class. Let's see what we got going on here. So right now in Shaman, there's a bunch of decks. Like Shaman is always so strong. I don't know what it is, if it's the hero power or what, but Shaman is always it always finds a way to be a very competitive class in the meta. So here we got Snow Fury Giant, 11 for an 8/8 elemental. Costs 1 less for each mana crystal you've overloaded this game, right? So my initial feelings is this card is bad because overload is bad. In this kind of meta, overload it's on the board of being a very strong mechanic. But it just to make this an affordable card, like what would it have to be? 7 mana, 8 mana. So like if you played a overload 3 card or 2 cards that equal that, then you get an 8 for an 8/8. But then that's kind of stale. So then you have to start playing more overloads over that. So you think about the overloads you could play: Lightning Bolt, Lightning Storm, Earth Elemental, Drakari Defender, Feral Spirit. Is that a card right now? Feral Spirits? Like, it's interesting, but I feel like overload really just puts you back too far. Unless you're using the overloads at the end of the game, which one case kind of makes it weird. So I don't really know how that'll work. To me, it's a 1 out of 5. Murabi, whenever another minion is frozen, add a copy of it to your hand. I think that's weak simply because the body's weak. And because of the frozen effect, like you have to have more being done in that turn. And I just think that's going to be hard to work with and get value out of. So I'm actually going to give it a 1 out of 5. Thrall Deathseer 5. Now this is the cheapest Death Knight. That's cool. Battlecry, transform your minions into random ones that cost 2 more. So it's like a double evolve. And if I'm not mistaken, the hero power is evolve a creature. Right? I think it's interesting. It doesn't fit the existing game plans because obviously totem hero power is pretty strong. But people are definitely going to find ways to make this card super good because evolve in itself is a strong mechanic. So, yeah, man, personally, I think this is pretty strong. I would say it's a 5 out of 5. It doesn't fit the existing token druid or token shaman builds or evolved shaman builds. Because obviously, like, you got to realize that once you drop this, you can't make totems anymore, right? But I think a deck that goes really wide and curves out at 5, where 5 being Thrall and Bloodlust, you can do some crazy shit. And I think that card is going to build towards that. So 5 out of 5 to me for the Death Knight card. One of, if not the best Death Knight cards right now. Voodoo Hexer 5 for a 2/7 taunt, freeze any character damaged by this minion. That's borderline playable. Like, this is the Shaman version of the Warrior card. I don't think it's that good. 1 out of 5. Avalanche, 4 mana, freeze a minion and deal 3 damage to adjacent ones. It is interesting. It is quite interesting. 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. I think that's pretty interesting. But kind of situational. But it's interesting. 3 out of 5. Icebreaker, destroy any minion damage, any frozen minion damaged by this. I think it's just, this is too shitty. Like, there's not enough. Are there enough freezing cards to make this good? I don't know. I think it's pretty bad. 1 out of 5 for Icebreaker. Because remember, you got to take the damage. Like, if you attack a minion, even if it's frozen, and even if you kill it, you're still taking that damage. Like, and at that case, like, if you just, obviously, if you're freezing minions to kill them, like, you're attacking pretty high priority targets, like, and you're not going to waste the freeze effects on a low health minion, right? So, I'm not sold. 1 out of 5. Drakari Defender, 3 for a 2/8, Overload 3. This is pretty interesting, to be honest. And I think it's pretty good, even if it's very vulnerable to like Shadow Word Pain or like whatever, right? There are effects that can go through this, but this is going to stalwart aggro. The only issue is that Overload 3 is a lot. That means on turn 4 you have 1 mana. So that against aggro, yeah, maybe you might stun their board for 1 turn. But there's a good chance that they just get through this the next turn somehow. But I do think that, I mean, the stats are pretty good, man. 8 health is pretty nice. You know, you think about like a card like Dreadlord, how strong that was when it was out. But it didn't have Overload. So, gosh, it's hard to say, man. I'll give it a 2 out of 5. Cryostasis, give a minion +3/+3 and freeze it. It just seems a little weak, man. Seems a little weak. 1 out of 5 to me. Ice Fishing, draw 2 Murlocs from your deck. I think it's good. I think it's going to see play. I think there is a Murloc deck like out there. Man, even if you only played the Finja package, you still got a good chance of drawing it. Honestly, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Ice Fishing, 4 out of 5. Burlock, Battle Cry, freeze an enemy. It's all right, and this will fit. This will fit in these decks, but it won't be as integral. Even though it'll be interesting, I'll give it a 2 out of 5. Everything's nice about this. This is actually not a bad card. I'll give it a 3 out of 5. It's going to see play in Murloc Shaman decks. So Shaman for me is like one of the classes I play the least, right? I don't really have that much of experience. And really, you'll notice that a lot of the mechanics outside of the Death Knight don't really fit into existing molds of the class, right? So really, it's just like up to Shaman players to figure out what they're going to do here, right? So, like to develop something new, right? Whether it be a freezing Murloc Shaman or what it may be. But like you see, like some cards are Overload, some cards are Freeze, and then there's kind of these like Murloc cards that just do whatever. Like, so, I mean, it's really, and it's tough to like kind of shove a mechanic down somebody's mouth and make it work, right? Especially since it's so distinctly different from existing archetypes. So I don't know. I'm on the fence about how Shaman is built. I mean, I'm sure it's still going to be a powerful class because of everything else exists. What do you think? What are you interested in playing when Shaman comes out in the first throw?